Hi everybody, this little screencast video is going to help you understand how to use the Graphmatica program to help you write your project. I'll show you how to graph equations, how to enter data points into the data plot editor, and how to copy and paste these graphs into a Word document. Okay, so let's get started. When you open up the Graphmatica program after downloading it, you'll get a screen that looks something like this. Your screen might show a background of a different color. So let me show you how you can adjust the colors here. If you use your mouse and scroll up to Options, one of the first things the first thing you'll see is Graph Paper. If you click on Graph Paper, you get this little dialog box. Now, right now, I have the rectangular grid chosen, and I have also chosen dots. You can change that if you like. If you don't want to have any dots or any grid lines showing up in your graph, that's an option. Or you can have grid lines. Let's choose grid lines just to show you. So I'll choose grid lines. And the next thing I'm going to do is choose the Colors tab here in this box. And here you get these choices for all kinds of different things. There's a little preview window over here on the right, which is kind of nice. If you wanted to change the background color of your graph, let's say to something like yellow, well, now you can see what it would sort of look like if you did that. You can change it to some other color that you want. And so these can make it kind of fun and nice way to look at your graphs. However, I should give you this warning. If you're going to be printing these graphs on a piece of paper, the best option is to really have the black and white, or the white with colored lines background, at least to have a white background for your graphs. That's what shows up best when you're printing on a piece of paper. Okay, so let's choose that, and then you can see these lines in here in the preview window tell me what colors I'll be using for my graphs. So let's just go ahead and use that. It's a nice default. Alright, and there's my grid lines, and we can see the colors of the axes and everything showing up here. Okay, well, one of the main really strengths of Graphmatica is graphing equations. Right up here in this bar is where you would type an equation. For example, you would just, let's say we wanted to graph the parabola y equals x squared. Y equals x, and then to do an exponent, use the Shift 6 key for that little up arrow thing, and then let's say x squared. Hit enter, and it shows you the graph. Now, it also changed the scale of the window. If you don't like that, you can change it to anything that you want. And I recommend that you have a look at this now. It's very important that you are able to control the dimensions of the window screen as you look at it. So go up here to View, and right here you see this little option, Grid Range. Pretty obvious what that means. And all you're going to do now here is put in the left, right, bottom, and the top values for the grid that you want to see. So I'll keep it at -5 to +5 for left and right values, but I want to adjust the bottom and the top, so the y values, in other words. So let's go -2 just to kind of make something up here, and no reason to go that high. Let's go up to 6. So just to kind of make up some numbers there. So there's another view of that same equation, x squared. Now, if you want to get rid of that graph right there, have the equation highlighted up here in the bar, and just hit this delete graph button, and that gets rid of the graph. Okay, so you can graph any kind of equation. Let's try y equals e to the x, a basic exponential function. Hit enter, and there it is. Once again, it changed the size of the window. I'm not really sure why it does that, but anyway, you can control that if you want. So I'm going to go ahead and delete that, and let's see, right here is the default grid, so just to snap it right back to the default grid, that's a handy button to have on your toolbar there. Now, let's take a look at data plot editing. That is the kind of things that you'll be doing in your project. All right? So to use the data plot editor, that is to put in x and y values from a data set given to you, go up here to View once again. You might have noticed this earlier. Down here in this menu is something called the Data Plot Editor. So click on that, and that gives you this XY table over here. Now, I've already, just to save a little bit of time, I've put in the values for x and y from problem number 4 from this graphing modeling project. You can look on page 394 in your textbook, and you can see this data set right there on the page. So here's all the points. Now you'll notice perhaps right there is one of the data points. In fact, this first one right here, 0, 4.8. You can see that's plotted right there. Over here, the symbol shape I've chosen is a circle, and I'm choosing a pink or magenta color for that circle. But I only see one of them. So what I have to do is to go to the grid range and change these values. So what I want to do here for these values is look over here to these numbers to give me guidance on what window size I should look at. So I'm going to change the left side to 0. I'm going to change the right side. These are the x values, right? I'm going to go all the way up to 50. Okay. The y values, pretty narrow range there. If you look at this, the smallest is 4.04. The biggest is 4.8. So it's got a very narrow vertical range, you might say. So I'm going to kind of take advantage of that. I'm going to say 3.5 as the lowest value on my screen, and I'm just going to say 5.2. This just gives me a little bit of clearance room on either side of the lowest and the highest values. So I'm going to give that, say that OK for that. And now you can see all the points. And it's kind of spread out nicely across the page. So that has to do with the numbers that I chose for the grid range. I think, to me, that looks pretty good. So the next thing, after you get this scatter plot put into Graphmatica, what you want to do is have Graphmatica calculate the curve of best fit. All right, really great feature of Graphmatica. First, choose Options. Click on Options, and you can see these different choices for the type of regression curve that we're going to use. And for most of these problems, we will be using the exponential curve. Notice that the form that the equation takes, y equals e to the ax plus b. So it's a natural exponential function, e, and then here is the exponent. Okay, so it's good to note that right here. So we'll click OK, that one's chosen, and now we just tell it to fit the curve. Click Curve Fit, and you can see the curve was drawn by the computer. It also has calculated the equation. When I put the cursor right on that equation, all right, you can see down at the very bottom of the screen, well, here, let's do this. Click on this, and there you go. There's the equation right there, showing up in the equation bar. And here is our function, exp. That means e to the power of. And then here is the exponent. Okay? So there's the equation of our curve. Here's the graph of that curve. You can see that the curve does a pretty good job of crossing the points. This one is kind of off a little bit. This one's off a little bit. This one's off a little bit. But several of them seem to be pretty much or exactly right on the curve. Okay? That's an important feature. This equation is a curve of best fit. It is actually an estimate of the equation of best fit for those points. The value or the quality of that estimate is right up here. This is a very important number right there, the correlation coefficient, R. This number, 0.9991, is very high. The highest possible is 1.0, and you almost never see that. So this curve does a very good job of modeling these data points. Some data sets aren't so easily modeled, and this number will be different. This is a kind of you can think of it sort of as a rating of how well the equation actually models the data. Okay? Very important number to take note of when you do this regression curve. Okay, so we've got our curve, we've got our scatter plot, it's all done here. The next thing would be to copy this and paste it into your Word document so you can turn it in and show me that you've done all this great work. So it's very simple. Go to Edit, go to Copy, and I'll just choose color for now since we've got a couple of colors. The monochrome means you'll be copying it in black and white, which may be preferable depending on the kind of printer you're using. So anyway, I'll choose color just for fun. I've copied it. Now I'm going to go to my Word document here. Let's see, to my Word document. Okay, so I've opened up just a kind of a blank Word document here, and I just click into it here, and all I have to do is hit Control V, and it pastes the document in there just like that. It's that simple. Really easy to do. If you don't like the size of it, that may be a little bit too large. You don't want to have something hogging up the whole page here. No need for that really maybe. And so you can just click and drag it to any size that you want. Okay, shorter this way, maybe a little taller this way. You can just kind of alter the dimensions whatever way you see fit. Okay, and maybe a handy thing here after that is putting in a text box so that you can answer the questions about this graph. You can answer your questions. Number 4. Okay, here is the scatter plot. Etc. Right? You can answer anything or put any kind of dialogue or text next to your graph right here. Very simple thing to do. Okay. I wanted to get back to Graphmatica, and I think that's it for now. I think I'll show you the last part in a different screencast because we're getting up close to time here. All right. So good luck with that. Let me know if you have any questions, and I'll see you soon.